The bell over the bakery door chimed softly as Maya pushed it open, and for a moment she just stood there, taking it all in. Sugar Haven Bakery looked like something out of a commercial. Glass cases filled with perfect cakes, shiny macarons stacked like tiny jewels, frosting swirled into careful peaks. Warm light bounced off white tiles and gold accents. Children pointed at cupcakes with sticky fingers while their parents laughed and tapped on their phones. It smelled like vanilla, butter, and sugar. It should have felt comforting. Instead, Maya felt her shoulders tense as soon as she stepped inside. She glanced down at the small hand wrapped around her own. "You ready, birthday boy?" she asked. Jordan's eyes were already wide, moving from one cake to another. "Mom, look. That one has a superhero on top." He pointed toward a bright red and blue cake in the display. Maya smiled, even though her heart was beating too fast. "Ours is going to look even better than that," she said. "Remember? You picked the design yourself." Jordan nodded eagerly. "Yeah, with the city in the back and my hero flying over it." "Do you think they did it like we said?" "I'm sure they did," she replied, giving his hand a squeeze. "You know how long your mama talked to them on the phone?" He giggled. "Forever." She laughed with him, but inside she was trying to push away the worry that had followed her here. She had double-checked the price 3 times before coming. She had counted her tips from her last Uber shift at the kitchen table last night, smoothing every bill, whispering, "Please be enough," even though she knew money didn't listen. She had it. It would be fine. It had to be as she and Jordan moved further in. She could feel it, the shift in the room. No one said anything, but she saw the glances. Quick, sideways looks that slid over her dark skin, her worn but clean jeans, the fraying strap of her purse. They bounced off her son's excited face and came back to her like quiet questions. Do they belong here? Can she really afford this place? Maya straightened her back. She told herself she was imagining it. She had learned to tell herself that, even when she knew it wasn't always true. "Stay close to me, okay?" she said softly. Jordan nodded and pressed himself against her side as they joined the short line at the counter. A woman in front of them laughed loudly about how her daughter refused to have anything less than a 3-layer cake this year. Another customer in a suit tapped his card without looking up, paying for a dessert that probably cost more than Maya's weekly grocery bill. Behind the counter, a young cashier moved quickly, smiling at each customer. The uniform looked crisp on her pink apron, white shirt, hair pulled back neatly. To the side, an older woman in a pearl necklace and pressed white blouse waited at a small round table, arms crossed. She had the kind of posture that didn't bend for anyone. Maya noticed the woman's eyes land on her, moved down to Jordan, then over to her shoes' simple black flats that had seen better days. The woman's lips pressed into a thin line before she turned back to her phone. Maya swallowed and focused on the display. The cakes really were beautiful. Some had flowers made of sugar. Others had cartoon faces, sports themes, rainbows, and glitter. She saw kids pointing, heard little voices begging, "Can we get that one?" It should have been a happy scene. And in a way, it was. But it also reminded her how hard she fought for what other people seemed to take for granted. "This place is fancy," Jordan whispered. "Yeah," Maya said. "You're worth fancy." He grinned at that, his front tooth slightly crooked. "You're worth fancy too, Mom." Her chest tightened. "You're gonna make me cry before we even get the cake," she said, pretending to wipe her eyes. When it was finally her turn, the cashier smiled brightly. "Hi, how can I help you?" "Yes," Maya said, trying to keep her voice steady. "I'm here to pick up a cake. Order under Thompson. Superhero City cake for Jordan." Jordan bounced a little at the sound of his name. "That's me," he whispered. The cashier tapped on the screen, and then her face lit up. "Oh yes, I see it here. One superhero skyline cake. It's in the back. Let me just grab it." As the cashier disappeared through the swinging door behind the counter, Maya let out a slow breath. She was almost there. Jordan would have the cake he'd been dreaming about. The look on his face when he saw it would make every missed coffee, every extra shift, worth it. "Mom, do you think they put my name on it?" Jordan asked. "I told them to," she said. "If they didn't, we'll make them fix it." He laughed. "You sound scary when you say that." "Good. They won't mess with my boy's cake then." From the corner of the bakery, a man sitting alone at a table looked up from his coffee. He wore a simple dark jacket, no watch, no flashy jewelry. He seemed almost invisible in the crowded shop, but his eyes were sharp. He watched the way Maya shifted from one foot to the other, the way she gave her son all her attention, while still staying aware of the room. After a moment, he looked down again, but his ears stayed open. The swinging door opened, and the cashier returned, pushing a large white box carefully onto the counter. It was tied with a bright blue ribbon. She turned it slightly so Maya and Jordan could see inside through the small clear window on top. Jordan gasped. "Mom, look. That's it. That's the one." Maya leaned forward. The cake looked even better than she'd imagined. A tiny sugar city with skyscrapers. A superhero flying above it in a red cape. "Happy birthday, Jordan," written neatly across the top. "It's perfect," she said softly. The cashier smiled. "We were really proud of how it turned out. Your total is right here," she said, tapping the screen and turning it toward Maya. Maya dug into her purse for her wallet, already comforted by the feel of folded bills against her fingers. She glanced at the amount on the screen. The number hit her like a sudden drop. Her breath caught. That wasn't right. She blinked, thinking she read it wrong. Her stomach turned cold. That was more than what she had been told. More than what she had saved. Jordan tugged at her sleeve, still staring at the cake, completely unaware. "Mom? Can we take it home now?" he asked. Maya's heart began to pound again, and the sounds of the bakery grew louder around her. Her fingers tightened around her wallet. Something was wrong, and she could feel deep inside that this day was about to turn into something she had not planned for. She forced herself to breathe, to stand a little taller, and to ask the question she didn't want to ask, because this was her son's birthday. And walking away was not an option. This covers the introduction section based on your outline, with emotional build-up, character focus, and a lead-in to the price shock. If you'd like, I can now continue with the next part of your outline, the moment she sees the new price and the first blow of injustice. Maya stared at the number on the screen again, hoping it would somehow change if she looked long enough. It didn't. Her voice came out softer than she meant it to. I think there's a mistake." The cashier leaned closer. "Oh, let me see." She checked the screen and then the order slip. "This is the total for the superhero skyline cake with custom name and city background." Maya swallowed. "When I called last week, they told me it would be 68. This says 80. The cashier's smile faltered. "Yeah, there was an extra charge added for the detailed skyline. It was marked as a premium decoration. I'm really sorry if no one told you about it." Maya's fingers tightened around her wallet. $12. It wasn't a huge number to most of the people in that shop. To her, it was gas money for the week, bread, milk, a few days of school lunch. Her mind started doing math on its own, fast and panicked. She had counted everything so carefully. She had exactly what they told her. Not a dollar more. "Oh," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "I wasn't told about the extra charge." She took a breath. "Is there any way you can honor the original price?" I have what I was told. I don't. Before the cashier could answer, a voice cut in from the side. If you can't afford it, maybe you should have picked something simpler. The words were smooth and sharp, at the same time got Maya turned slowly. The woman with the pearl necklace and perfect posture, who had been watching them earlier, stood closer now, arms crossed. Her eyes traveled from Maya's face to her wallet, then down to Jordan's sneakers. This bakery isn't exactly cheap, the woman went on. It's not a charity. The cashier looked trapped, glancing between them. Ma'am, Maya's cheeks burned. I'm not asking for charity, she said quietly. I'm just saying I was told a different price. The woman raised her chin slightly. Well, sometimes prices change. That's life. If you don't have enough money, you should plan ahead. It's not the shop's fault if someone doesn't budget. Someone behind them shifted, trying to see what was going on. Another customer whispered, "What happened?" There was a change in the air, a small shift as attention started to gather. Jordan looked up at his mother, his happy smile shrinking. "Mom, is everything okay?" Maya forced herself to smile down at him, even though her stomach twisted. "Yeah, baby? I'm just talking to the lady, okay?" He nodded, but his eyes stayed worried. She turned back to the cashier. "Is there any way you can waive the extra fee?" she asked. "Just this once? I worked extra shifts for this. I wasn't told about the change." The cashier opened her mouth, then closed it again. I'd have to ask the manager," she finally said. "I'm sorry. We usually don't change prices after the order is confirmed." The pearl necklace woman scoffed. "Rules are rules. Everyone else has to pay full price. Why should she be special?" The way she said "she" landed like a slap. Like Maya was a problem and not a person. Maya's heart pounded in her ears. "I never said I wanted to be special," she replied. "I just wanted what I was told." The woman gave her a tight smile. People come into nice places and then act shocked when it costs money. Maybe try a grocery store cake next time. They're more affordable. Her eyes flicked to Maya's skin and back again. The message behind her words was crystal clear. Someone near the back cleared their throat. A low murmur rippled through the line. The man at the corner table looked up again, watching more closely now. Maya felt the room closing in. She thought of the time a store security guard followed her down every aisle, even when she was just buying soap and cereal. She thought of her boss making a joke about single moms always being broke, and then laughing. Like it was harmless. She thought of every time she had swallowed. Her words, because speaking up felt dangerous. "Please," she said, her voice dropping. "It's my son's birthday today. He's been talking about this cake for weeks. I have 68. I don't have 80. I'm not trying to cheat anyone. I'm just asking if there's anything you can do." The cashier's eyes softened with pity, and pity hurt in its own way. "I'm really sorry," she said. Let me see if my manager is free." She hurried away, leaving Maya standing at the counter with everyone's eyes on her. "Honestly," the woman muttered more loudly now, speaking to no one and everyone at the same time, "if you can't afford something, you shouldn't drag your kid into it. It's embarrassing for him." Maya flinched. She wanted to snap back, wanted to tell the woman exactly how many nights she'd stayed awake, figuring out how to stretch a paycheck across bills and food and a growing child. She wanted to say, "You have no idea how hard I plan. You have no idea what I give up." But when she looked down at Jordan, his small shoulders, his worried eyes, something in her stopped her. She didn't want his memory of this day to be his mother yelling in a bakery. Still, staying silent felt like swallowing glass. Jordan tugged her sleeve again. "Mom, we're not getting the cake?" he asked, voice small. She crouched down so she could meet his eyes. "I'm trying, okay?" she whispered. "I'm doing my best." "It'll be okay. Did I do something?" he asked. "Because I picked the superhero? We can get a small one. I don't need the city part." Her heart broke a little at that. "You didn't do anything wrong," she said softly. "You hear me? None of this is your fault." He nodded, but he still looked like he wanted to disappear. Behind them, the woman leaned toward another customer and said in a low but very clear voice, "Some people just love drama. Anything to get attention." The words hit the center of Maya's chest. She'd heard that before, when she complained about being underpaid, when she spoke up about a kid at school treating Jordan badly. "You're overreacting. You're being dramatic. You're making it about race when it doesn't have to be." The lines were always the same. She stood up slowly, fighting the sting in her eyes. Tears here would feel like proof to people who already believed she was weak. She clenched her jaw, staring at the cake in the box dot. It was right there. So close. Everything she wanted for her son in this one small thing, a bright moment. In a life that had felt like endless uphill walking. The manager finally peered from the back, a tired-looking man in his 40s with a name tag that said Greg. He approached the counter with a rehearsed customer service smile. "Hi. What seems to be the issue?" he asked. The cashier spoke first, her voice careful. "There was a miscommunication about the price on this order. Miss Thompson says she was quoted 68, but with the premium decorations, it came to 80. She's asking if we can honor the original price." Greg glanced at Maya, then at the screen, then at the woman with the pearls, who stood nearby listening like she was part of the staff. His eyes flicked back to Maya's clothes, then to the little boy clutching her hand. "The system automatically adds charges based on custom work," he said finally. "We usually can't override it." "Usually," Maya repeated quietly. "So sometimes you can." He hesitated. "Sometimes. In special cases." Pearl Necklace folded her arms tighter. "If you start giving random discounts, everyone will want one," she said. "It's not fair to the rest of us who pay full price." Greg nodded weakly, as if her opinion carried extra weight. "We have policies to follow," he added, avoiding Maya's eyes. "I'm sorry. If you can't pay the full amount, we can maybe offer you something else. A smaller cake from the display. Or cupcakes." Maya felt the fight drain out of her. A smaller cake. Something else. Something less. Something that said, "You don't get what you planned. You get what's left over." She looked at Jordan. He was staring at his dream cake in the box, the superhero flying over the sugar city. His birthday cake. His big day. Her throat burned. "I don't want something else," she said, voice barely above a whisper. "I wanted this. I planned for this. I did everything right." Greg shifted uncomfortably. "I understand, but no," Pearl Necklace cut in. "You don't reward that kind of thing. She's making a scene, and it's making everyone uncomfortable." "I'm not making a scene," Maya said, turning to face her now. Her voice still shook, but there was steel underneath. "I'm quietly asking for what I was promised." The woman's mouth curled slightly. "You people always play the victim." The room went silent. Even the background music seemed to fade. Somewhere, a child stopped laughing. The cashier's face went pale. Greg stiffened, but said nothing. Maya felt the words like cold water thrown over her. "You people." It wasn't even new. It was old and ugly and familiar. For a second, she thought she might pass out. Her mind flashed through years of moments where those words were said with different faces, in different places. This time, though, something felt different. Near the back of the bakery. The quiet man in the simple dark jacket pushed his chair back and stood up. No one noticed Not yet. The room hummed with a sharp, uncomfortable tension, one that wrapped itself around Maya's chest and refused to let go. She stood there with her fingers trembling around her wallet, trying to hold herself together while everyone watched like she was the problem. Jordan pressed close to her leg. "Mom?" he whispered, so softly she almost didn't hear him. She forced her voice to stay steady. "It's okay, baby." But nothing felt okay. Maya's eyes flicked toward the manager again. He still hadn't stepped forward. He looked frozen, caught between policy, pressure, and the loudest voice in the room, which happened to be the woman who treated Maya like she didn't belong. "I can't believe we're still dealing with this," Pearl Necklace said, rolling her eyes. "Some people are so enough." The word didn't come from Maya Doc. It wasn't loud, but it cut clean across the bakery, pulling every set of eyes toward the man in the back who had finally stepped away from his table. He walked with calm, steady steps, no rush, no hesitation. His jacket was simple, his posture relaxed. But there was something about the way he carried himself that made even the loudest whispers fade away. He stopped near Maya, giving her a respectful nod before turning his gaze toward the woman who had humiliated her. "I'm sorry," he said, his tone cool and controlled. "But what exactly do you think she's done wrong?" Pearl Necklace blinked, taken aback for the first time. "Excuse me?" "You heard me," the man said. "You've been criticizing her every chance you get. She's quietly trying to resolve something with the staff. Meanwhile, you've been inserting yourself into a situation that has nothing to do with you." The woman's nostrils flared. "She's holding up the line." "No," he said calmly. "She's asking a question. You're the one holding up the room." A few people murmured in agreement. The man didn't look at them. He kept his eyes on the woman, unbothered, composed. Maya stared, unsure what was happening. She had never seen anyone, not a stranger, step in like this for her. Not in a public place. Not against someone like this woman. Pearl Necklace scoffed and turned sharp eyes on him. "Who do you think you are?" He smiled faintly. "Someone who knows the difference between kindness and cruelty." The cashier looked relieved, like she had been silently waiting for someone to say what she couldn't. Even Greg. The manager seemed unsure of himself now, shifting uncomfortably behind the counter. The woman huffed and straightened her blouse. "This is ridiculous. She's clearly trying to get a discount." Maya's face warmed again, humiliation and anger battling inside her. "I'm not trying to get anything I didn't work for," she said quietly. "I'm just asking them to honor what I was told." "That's fair," the man said, turning to her with a gentle tone. "And you asked respectfully." His voice softened the tight knot in her chest. It was strange how one small kindness could feel like someone switching on a light in a dark room. He stepped closer to the counter. "May I see the order slip?" he asked Maya. She hesitated. She didn't know him. She didn't want to look helpless. But something in his voice felt safe, not pitying, not superior, just human doubt. After a moment, she handed him the small pink order receipt with her name written in blue ink. The man looked it over carefully. Then he lifted his eyes to the cashier. "She was quoted 68? The cashier nodded nervously. "Yes, that's what she said when she placed the order. The extra fee was added later." "And she wasn't told about it?" the man asked. "It looks like the note wasn't marked, sir," she said. "It should have been explained." The man nodded and tapped the slip on the counter lightly. "Then she deserves the original price." Greg jumped in quickly. "Sir, normally, that's the price she was told," the man cut in gently but firmly. "Your shop made the mistake. She shouldn't be punished for it." Pearl Necklace scoffed loudly. "Oh, please. She's just trying to—" "Ma'am," he said, turning toward her again, "you've made your point. Several times, actually. Silence fell. The woman's mouth opened, then closed. She didn't say another word. The man turned back to Maya. You don't owe anyone here. An apology, her breath caught. She blinked hard, trying to keep her eyes from filling. Jordan looked between the two adults, confused but slowly smiling. Mom, is everything going to be okay now? Maya knelt beside him. Yes, she whispered. I think so. The man looked down at Jordan with a warm smile. Happy birthday, buddy. Jordan grinned shyly. Thank you. The cashier quietly adjusted the price on the register. Greg stood stiffly behind her, embarrassed but unwilling to argue. But the man wasn't finished. His eyes moved back to the cake, then to the receipt, then to Maya. If you don't mind, he said softly. I'd like to cover the rest anyway. Maya's eyes widened. Oh no, you don't have to do that. I know I don't have to, he said gently. I want to. Pearl Necklace's jaw dropped. Someone in the back muttered, Wow. Under their breath, Maya shook her head. I don't want to feel like I'm taking advantage. I just wanted what was fair. And you fought for that, he said. You stood your ground. Let me stand with you now. Her throat felt tight again. Why would you do that? He smiled softly. Because dignity shouldn't come with a price tag. Maya stared at him, this stranger whose presence seemed to change the whole room. She didn't know his name. She didn't know his story. But she felt the honesty in his voice. She felt seen, truly seen. For the first time since she walked into the bakery, she let herself breathe. The man placed a few bills on the counter. The cashier blinked when she saw the amount much more than the difference. It's for them, he said, nodding toward Maya and Jordan. Make sure they take the cake home exactly as planned. Greg found his voice again. Thank you, sir. Pearl Necklace looked like she wanted the floor to open up and swallow her whole. Jordan tugged on his mom's sleeve. Mom, does this mean I get the cake? Maya let out a shaky laugh, wiping her eyes quickly with her thumb. Yeah, baby. You get your cake. He jumped in place. Excited again, the man smiled at the sight, but he wasn't done speaking. He turned back to the bakery, staff, and the remaining customers. You never know how hard someone is fighting, he said quietly. That alone should be enough reason to treat people with respect. This time, the whole room stayed silent. No whispers. No judgment. Just stillness. Maya felt something shift deep inside her, like a bruise she'd been carrying for years, had finally begun to heal. Then the man added, and for the record, she handled herself with more grace than anyone here. Maya didn't know how to respond. Thank you, she whispered. He nodded once. You deserve it. And in that moment, Maya realized this day hadn't broken her. It had revealed her strength. She took Jordan's hand, held the cake box carefully, and felt her heart beat steady for the first time that morning. Ready to go home? She asked Jordan. Yeah. He beamed. This is the best birthday ever. As they turned to leave, Maya looked at the man one last time. He simply smiled, and the world felt different. Maya stepped out into the sunlight with Jordan still holding tightly to her hand. The cake box balanced gently against her hip. The warmth outside felt different now, soft, steady, grounding. Almost as if the day was apologizing for what had happened inside. Jordan bounced slightly as they walked toward the car. Mom, did you see his face? The lady who was being mean. She looked like she smelled something bad. Maya let out a breathy laugh, the tension finally starting to loosen. Jordan, she said, trying not to smile too wide. Don't say that. But she did, Jordan insisted proudly. And you didn't yell. You were like a superhero, too. The words hit Maya deeper than she expected. A superhero, huh? Yeah, he said, Because superheroes don't let bullies win. Maya's throat tightened again, but this time it wasn't from shame or fear. It was from something warmer, a feeling she hadn't let herself embrace in a long time. Pride. She unlocked the car, carefully placed the cake on the back seat, and helped Jordan into his booster. When she closed the car door and stood for a moment alone beside it, her breath trembled. She pressed her hand over her heart, steadying herself. He saw everything, she thought. He saw me trying. He saw someone stand up for us. And he saw that woman fail. For the first time all morning, she didn't feel beaten down. She felt stronger. When she got in the driver's seat, Jordan leaned forward. Can we tell Grandma what happened? Maya smiled softly. We'll tell her everything. He nodded as if this was obvious. She's going to say you were brave. Maya glanced at him through the rearview mirror. What do you think? Jordan shrugged with the innocent confidence only a child could have. I think you're the bravest person I know. Maya's breath hitched. Thank you, baby. As she started the car, she looked back toward the bakery through the windshield. Daniel was still inside, talking calmly with the staff. He didn't look like a billionaire lecturing people. He looked like a man who simply believed in doing the right thing, even when no one expected him to. Mom? Jordan said. Yeah? Are we poor? The question froze her. She looked at him again in the mirror, searching his face. He wasn't asking to embarrass her. He wasn't asking because he'd heard it from the woman. He was asking because children are honest and curious and braver than adults when it comes to truth. Maya took a slow breath. We're not poor, she said gently. We just have to work a little harder for things sometimes. Why? He asked. Because everyone's life is different, she answered. Some people start with more. Some start with less. But what matters is that we keep going. We keep trying. He nodded, thinking deeply. Like superheroes. She smiled again. Exactly. The drive home felt lighter. The bakery was behind them now, but the memory of what happened lingered, not like a bruise, but like a lesson. Maya wasn't naive. She knew people like Pearl Necklace would always exist. People who believed worth came from bank accounts or skin tone. She'd met them before, and she would meet them again. But now something was different. Because someone else, a stranger, who could have ignored everything, chose not to, and that mattered. When they reached home, Jordan ran inside ahead of her, yelling, Grandma! Grandma, guess what happened? And look at my cake. Maya walked in slower, holding the cake carefully. Her mother peeked out from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a dish towel. Well, let me see this famous cake, she said, smiling. Jordan launched into the story immediately. Mom almost didn't get it, and this lady was being super mean. And then this man stood up, and he paid for it, and he said Mom was brave. And Jordan, Maya cut in gently, laughing. Slow down. Her mother raised an eyebrow. What in the world happened at that bakery? Maya set the cake down on the table. It's a long story. Her mother walked over, placing a warm hand on her cheek. You okay? Maya nodded slowly. Yeah, I am. I feel really okay. Her mother studied her for a moment, then smiled. Good. You deserve a little okay. Jordan bounced beside them. Can we cut the cake now? Not yet, Maya said. We have to wait for Auntie Gina and Uncle Mike. They said they'd stop by. Jordan groaned dramatically. But I want to eat it now. You'll survive, she teased. They spent the next few hours preparing small decorations, blowing balloons, and setting the table. Maya watched Jordan jump around the living room with his cape tied around his shoulders, pretending to fly like the superhero on his cake. Her mother leaned beside her and whispered, What happened this morning? Don't you let that woman make you feel small. Maya exhaled. I didn't. Not today. "That's right," her mother said with pride. "She's the small one." When the family finally gathered and Jordan blew out his candles, Maya watched him glow with happiness. His smile stretched so wide it reached her heart. And in that soft, warm moment the room filled with laughter, the cake half cut, and Jordan making wishes he refused to reveal. Maya felt something shift inside her. Not a little shift. A big one. A truth so clear she could almost hear it. The world tried to break me today, but it taught me I am stronger than I ever knew.